Jeff, I'm a pacey winger who likes to take defenders on one-on-one. I do lots of skill moves and also like to take long-range shots. I'm also the free kick taker for my team. I would compare my playing style to Cristiano Ronaldo. Which boots do you recommend I buy? I wonder if Madrid knows there's another Ronaldo out there. What's going on, guys? Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com bringing you a video today to discuss the top 10 football boot myths. Things about football boots that people think are true that simply aren't. And some of them are pretty dumb, but people believe this stuff. If you guys do end up enjoying the video, don't forget to support it with a like. And if you're new here watching for the first time, don't forget to hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. Now, there are lots of myths, misconceptions, and things that people just make up and believe when it comes to football boots. And given that I answer tons and tons of questions about all kinds of different boot related topics every single day, this list is very much, I guess, constructed based around the most commonly asked questions around things that just aren't true about football boots. So if there's something else that you'd like to add to this list or have any thoughts on anything that I'm talking about on this list, leave them down below in the comments and we'll get a bit of a discussion going. With that said, let's get started. Also keep in mind that this list is in no particular order. These are all equally dumb. Number 1, high-end boots will make you play better. Nope. A lot of people seem to think that if they have top-of-the-line boots, they're going to play better, and there's definitely a mental side to this game. There's no question about that, and perhaps it is a little bit of a mental boost. I would agree when you have brand new boots, there's definitely a mental boost to just being excited to play in those new boots for the first time, but regardless of whether or not your new boots are high-end or low-end, ultimately it's going to come down to your own personal abilities. If you're not good, high-end boots are not going to make you better, and if you're already good, high-end boots aren't going to make you even better than that. It's nice to have high-end boots. They definitely offer a better experience, and in certain areas, they do offer better performance characteristics, but I really don't think that there's any boot at all that has ever existed, high-end or low-end, that's legitimately so good, or at least so much better than everything else, that it would put you at an actual advantage when it comes to overall performance. So if you can't afford high-end boots, don't worry about it. You're going to be able to play just as well. High-end boots are a luxury item, not a necessity. Number 2, boots by position is not really a thing. Now, I don't think that boots by position is all bad. It's basically a marketing strategy constructed by these big brands who have multiple different lines of shoes to kind of help steer customers who don't really know that much about the product in the right direction. If you're a defender, hey, we have the Tiempo. If you're a midfielder, we have the Magistas, the Phantom Visions. If you're a striker, we have the Hypervenoms. If you're a winger, we have the Mercurials. It really is that simple. Where boots by position becomes a little bit of a myth, or where there's a lot of misconceptions around it, is a lot of people seem to think that it's an actual rule that needs to be followed in order to perform optimally, meaning that if you're a speedy winger, you absolutely must wear Nike Mercurials or whatever boot is being marketed towards wingers in order to perform to your highest abilities. That simply is not true. You need to pick your boots based on what you like when it comes to fit and feel. The way the boot is marketed, which pros are wearing it, does not matter whatsoever, because ultimately you're the one who has to wear them on your feet. If you like the feel of soft leather boots and you're a striker and you want to wear Copa Mundials, go and wear Copa Mundials, because that's what's going to be best for you. I can almost guarantee that you've never been sitting on the bench during a match and your coach turns around and says, okay, we need someone to replace the winger. Who's wearing Mercurials? And if your coach has said that, you should probably change teams. Myth number 3, no laces equals better control. Yeah, right. Now, this is one of those myths that people have almost kind of just made up on their own. Obviously, Adidas has popularized the whole laceless thing with various different boots over the last 2 years, and other brands seem to be following as well, but they've never really come out and directly said that just because the boots don't have laces, you'll have better control. People have just kind of decided that that's the truth that they want to go with to help justify their very expensive purchase of some brand new laceless boots. So will they improve your control? Obviously the answer to that question is no. It's really more so of a gimmicky thing in my opinion, rather than something that does offer any kind of tangible performance benefit or advantage. Yes, laces do add bulk across the top of the foot. If they're positioned across the top of the foot, that's obviously going to vary from boot to boot. But is there so much bulk that removing the laces is going to make for a dramatic difference in regards to feel and overall control of the ball? The simple answer to that question is no. These match my shirt. Boot myth number 4, ACC will make your boots waterproof. Now, those who regularly watch this channel know that I'm a bit of an ACC hater, and that's not because I dislike the concept of the technology. The concept makes a lot of sense. It's just the fact that we don't know all that much about it. We don't really know what it is, mainly because Nike has never really told us. And I've made videos on this before, not gonna get into it here. But the reason why I'm calling this a myth is because, again, Nike hasn't really specified what exactly ACC is and how exactly it's doing what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to be a wet control element, meaning that it's going to allow for better grip on the ball in wet conditions especially. It's all conditions control, so technically in dry as well. But the wet weather benefits, I think, is really what people are after. But people have kind of just taken that and said, hey, it makes the boots waterproof, and that simply is not true. If you play in a really wet field in really wet conditions for basically 20 minutes or so, if you're running through puddles basically, your feet are going to get wet, ACC or not. I don't care what boots you're wearing. That is just the reality of playing in really wet weather. So don't buy ACC boots with this expectation that I hate playing in wet boots and the ACC is going to protect my feet from getting wet, because that simply is not going to be the case. Myth number 5, football boots do not enhance skills. Seriously. I can't believe people think this is a thing. No boot will make you faster, no boot will make you control the ball better, no boot will increase the power of your shot, no boot will make you score more goals, no boot will make you a more creative player, no boot will improve your passing ability, no boot will make you taller, no boot will make you jump higher, no boot will make you better looking, no boot will fix your bad haircut, no boot. Boot myth number 6, mid-cut football boots do not provide ankle support. This is again something that people have simply made up because not a single brand who has put out a mid-cut boot has ever said that the benefit of having the mid-cut collar is for the sake of ankle support. In fact, when they first unveiled mid-cut boots, when it was first launched back in 2014, first to market was pretty much Nike with the Magista Obra 1 and the Superfly 4. They really made it very clear in their press release and wanted to assure people that adding this extra material around your ankle that wouldn't normally be there was not going to restrict movement in any way at all. And really, it doesn't. Is it a noticeable element on the boot? Absolutely, and obviously it does depend on the boot in terms of how much you're actually going to notice the collar. Some it's more noticeable than others, and obviously the collar can change up the fit in the heel area as well. But basically, they're all made from the same kind of elasticated, stretchy, very thin knitted material, basically a sock. A lot of people refer to these mid-cut boots as sock boots, and at no point up until mid-cut boots existed did anybody think that if they wore socks that covered their ankles, that those socks would actually provide ankle support. But because they've added a sock that happens to be attached to the opening of a football boot, therefore it is now an ankle support element. That just isn't true. And I know there's gonna be people down below in the comments who are gonna fight me on this particular myth, because there are lots of people who swear by mid-cut boots offering them ankle support that no other low-cut boot has ever provided. And there is, like I said, truth to the heel area fitting differently with a lot of these mid-cut boots, although every brand seems to be straying away from that and making boots that are mid-cut but fit more like low-cut shoes because it ends up being a lot more comfortable. Believe what you want to believe. There is definitely truth to the placebo effect, where if you're wearing a pair of boots, there can be a certain mental boost to that. If ankle support is your mental boost, that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying the reality of the situation is that this is basically a little bit of sock material attached to the opening of the shoe. On that topic, as a side note, the collar also has absolutely nothing to do with lockdown on any mid-cut boot at all. It's purely an extension piece for the sake of cosmetics, has nothing to do with performance, lockdown, or ankle support. I think I made that clear. Myth number 7, leather football boots require constant care and maintenance. Now, I can't say that this isn't 100% untrue, because there definitely is more care associated to a leather boot versus something that has a synthetic upper or a knitted upper, where basically you don't have to do anything to it. And there are still boots out there. Pantofolodoro boots come to mind, where they're so old school with old school liners and an old school construction and old school leather that they do legitimately absorb a ton of of water and tend to dry out more easily as well, where you do have to constantly take care of them in order to keep them in good shape if you're wearing them on a regular basis. But most other modern football boots that do have leather uppers, the more popular ones, like the Nike Tiempo Legend 7 Elite as an example, the leathers they use, the liners they have, the treatment process of the leather itself makes the maintenance of these boots almost the same as it would be for a synthetic or a knitted upper. Aside from just keeping them clean and making sure that you let them dry out properly after wearing them, which is something that you should do with any boot regardless of the upper material, there really isn't much that you have to do. If you want to buy a leather care kit with some leather cream or mink oil or whatever you want to use, just to keep the leather soft if you feel like it's hardening up on you, that's definitely something you can do, but I wouldn't say that it's entirely necessary. Most of these boots, again, as long as you take proper care of them, like you should any high-end boots or low-end boots for that matter, you're really not gonna have to do any extra maintenance. Boot myth number 8, and this is a big one, new boots are way better than old boots. Nope. Now this is one of those myths that I do somewhat understand when you have an extreme example like this, the brand new latest and greatest Adidas X18 Plus, and then the old school, very traditional, and kind of boring by today's standards, Adidas Copa Mundial. If you ask kids especially which one they think is going to be better and perform better, pretty much all of them are going to say this one right here, when the reality of the situation is, if you're a good player, you're gonna be able to perform well in either of these two boots. Are they gonna fit different? Yes. Are they gonna feel different? Yes. Are they gonna have different performance characteristics overall? Absolutely they will, but ultimately your ability to play is on you, not based on the boots that you wear on your feet. So yes, new boots are different than old boots, but I wouldn't necessarily say that new boots are better than old boots. You can wear pretty much whatever you want and be just as good. And that's a more extreme example. Likely if you're considering an X18 Plus, you probably don't want to be anywhere near a Copa Mundial. Something that's a more common comparison that a lot of people like to make is when a new model comes out and replaces the old one. The Nike Magista Obra 2 has now been replaced by the Nike Phantom Vision Elite. New, old. Does that mean that this product is now obsolete? Absolutely not. This was a great boot when it came out. It's still a great boot to this day, and a lot of people will actually prefer the Obra 2 over the brand new Phantom Vision. Again, personal preference plays a huge role in all of this. So to the people that ask me on a regular basis if this one boot that they wore during their childhood is just as good as the boots that are available today, the answer to that question is yes. Boots have not gotten better, they have not gotten worse, they've simply gotten different. If that makes sense. Basically wear what you like. If you thought it was good before, it's always going to be good. Myth number 9, if you get a blister, it must be the boots. Now this is one of those myths that is somewhat understandable, but there's a lot of misconceptions around blisters in general. And again, I've talked about this on the channel in more detail in other videos, so I don't want to talk about it in too much detail, but when you get a blister, it's something that does happen over a period of time. Blisters aren't an instantaneous thing. It's from excessive friction, where eventually you do finally end up with a blister. You endure the pain long enough, and guess what? You take your boots off at the end of your practice or a match, and you've got this big, sore, painful thing on your foot that you're gonna have to deal with for the next 2 weeks. Now, if you get brand new boots and you immediately got a blister on your heel, very common spot, maybe on the side of your toe, wherever it might be, very often, very likely, it's going to be the fault of the boots. But if you've had a pair of boots for 4 or 5 months and you've not had any issues with them and all of a sudden you got a blister, maybe it's not the fault of the boots. Perhaps did you change your socks? Perhaps are your socks worn out? Was it a really hot day? Was there something off about your feet prior to playing in your boots? Were you playing on an artificial grass field in extremely warm weather and your feet were basically on fire throughout your entire session? Those are all factors that can lead to blisters as well, where yes, the boots definitely play a role in that blister that you ended up getting, but it's not necessarily 100% the fault of the boots. So if you do get a blister and you immediately think, oh, my boots must need to be replaced or something like that, or the blister is 100% the fault of my boots, kind of analyze the situation and figure out why you got the blister before putting the blame solely on the boots. That explanation almost made it sound like the boots will know if you blame them. You can blame your boots. They're not gonna know. And then finally, myth number 10, not every boot is a laceless boot. Now this is kind of a recent phenomenon based on one, laceless boots becoming fairly popular, and realize that all the boots that are designed to be laceless don't have holes to put laces back in them. They're specifically designed to not have any laces at all. And then the second reason why this has become popular is because we're seeing more and more boots that have a one-piece construction for the upper, meaning that if you pull the laces out, technically there's enough structure to the boot to where they will actually still stay on your feet. A great example of that is this guy right here, the Nike Mercurial Superfly 6 Elite. Flyknit upper, one-piece enclosure, and of course you're ending up with these lace holes that are unfilled across the top of the foot, but that's perfectly fine because when you put them on, they technically stay on your feet. The issue with this, and the reason why you shouldn't do it, is because you've essentially taken a product that is designed to be a very specific way, not only when it comes to fit, not only when it comes to lockdown, not only when it comes to general safety and stability, but also in regards to performance. So you have spent $275 on your top of the line Superflies, removed the laces, walked out on the field, and instantaneously made your boots worse and more dangerous to wear. Just because you can do it does not mean you should. And to the guy down below in the comments who swears that his boots are more comfortable without the laces rather than with them, the logic there, I can't argue with you. And those are the top 10 football boot myths that are out there. A lot of people believe them, but as I've explained, they just aren't true. If you guys did enjoy the video, don't forget to support it with a like. And if you have any questions at all regarding anything that I talked about in this video, feel free to ask them down below in the comments, and I'll do my best to get an answer out to you as soon as I possibly can. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. Other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks for watching.